So when it comes to some of the classic fairy tales, I promise myself I will never tell them unless I have a different idea for them. And so this is one of those. Once upon a time, there was a kingdom. A king and a queen. They had 3 daughters, each one more lovely than the next. The youngest, she was just older than 10, and she was so beautiful that the villagers said even the sun would not look at her. She was so dazzling. Now, her older sisters, well, they were getting close to marrying age. They were almost 16. And she was alone most of her time, and she spent her time near the castle in a little bit of the woods. And in this bit of the woods, there was a deep, dark well. She would take her golden ball, and she would sit near the well, and she would throw it up in the air. Whee! 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 And one day it fell down into that deep, dark well. She could hear it splash at the bottom, and first she began to whimper. And then she began to whine, and then she just began to wail. And then she heard this voice, "Princess, what's wrong?" And she saw the most magnificent frog she'd ever seen. He was huge, sitting on the edge of the well, and just through her tears she said, "I just tore my ball, and I the frog said, "Princess, I can't understand a word you're saying. You're gonna have to calm down." So she wiped her tears. She blew her nose on the edge of her dress. I dropped my ball. What was that? Well, Princess, if you will let me eat at your plate and drink from your cup and sleep in your bed, and if you will be my friend, I will go get your ball for you. And the princess, her eyes got wide, and she said, you want to be my friend? You're such a beautiful frog! And she picked him up and she clutched him to her chest, and his eyes bulged out of it. She hugged him tight and she said, "You're the most beautiful frog I've ever seen." And he was like, "You want me to get the ball?" And she said, "Oh, we'll get that later." She ran to the castle right in time for dinner, and the bell rang, and she straightened up and she held the frog and she walked into dinner. Now, she was just late enough that no one really noticed her. She sat down, she put the frog beside her plate. She began trying to feed him off her own plate, until one of her older sisters noticed, "Daddy, oh my God, she's got a frog next to her plate." I don't know why she was speaking in a fake English accent. She made her sound more posh, so that's how she did it. "Daddy, you have to make her take that frog to the kitchen so we can eat it for appetizers later. That's disgusting." And then her other sister, "Oh, Mommy, that's gross." And her parents looked at their youngest daughter, dazzling them, and they said, "Oh, honey, a frog should not sit next to your plate at dinner. Perhaps after dinner." She said, "Mother, Father, I made a promise to this lovely frog that he could eat off my plate and drink from my cup and sleep in my bed, and I must keep my promises. That's what you taught me to do, and you want me to do what you taught me to do, don't you?" And they really couldn't argue with that. So he ate beside her plate, and when she was done, she took that frog and they went to the library together. And they sat among the books, and the frog hopped around and ate the spiders and the flies that had been buzzing around the library. And then after that, she took him for a walk in the garden on her shoulders in the shade so that he would not dry out. And then it was bedtime. And Nanny said, "Absolutely not! A princess cannot be naked in the tub with a frog." So the princess said, "Very well, I shall have my bath with my clothes on." And she stepped into the bath with her clothes on, and there the frog had a bath with the princess. And when she was finished, she stepped out of the tub and changed into some dry night clothes. And she told Nanny, "Go get a bowl from the kitchen, a bowl full of water, and put it on the pillow next to mine." And so the Nanny did as she was told. She got the bowl, and the frog sat in it, and they sat and they talked late into the night. Her head on the pillow, the frog sitting on the edge of the bowl. They talked and talked. And when the candle was burning low and the princess's eyes were so heavy, she said, "Good night, dear frog." And then she curled up to sleep, but then there was a crack of something, the whole room was shaking, and she opened her eyes, and there was no frog and no bowl in front of her, but a very startled-looking young man, and she did the only thing she could think of. She pulled her hand back and hit him right in the face, and he tumbled over the side of the bed, and she said, my frog, where's my frog? What have you done with my frog? And she began pulling the bed apart, looking for her frog. She could only find 2 pieces of a bowl. And the young man stood up. I'm so sorry, Princess, I am your frog. My mother is a lady of a not too far away, but she also is kind of secretly a witch, and she had a spell go wrong, and she turned me into a frog, and we thought it would take a lot longer for me to become human again. And the princess looked him up and down, and she began to whine. She began to pull out away. And she sobbed and cried, and he could really do nothing for her. He just sat there and patted her shoulder while she cried it out. And finally she got to the end. You know when you cry really hard and you're those hiccups. And he finally said, Princess, I'm so sorry to disappoint, but I do know where the best frogs are, being that I was one. And she said, really? He said, yeah, I'm happy to show you tomorrow if you'd like to see. And she said, okay. And that night, a young man with a black eye snuck out of the castle. And the next morning, the princess had a new young friend, and no one really questioned it too much. And they were friends for the rest of their lives. And that golden ball, well, it's still at the bottom of that well, waiting for another story to come and find it.